Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Doreen here on Thursday, February 21st. The active pattern continues here with a major snowstorm today in the Central Plains. It looks like an interesting pattern setting up also in the longer range from about 7 to 10 days out or so, and we'll talk about that at the end of this morning's discussion. But for the next 24 hours or so, an all-out blizzard will rage across the Central Plains. Heavy snow now stretches from the Rocky Mountains into the Central Plains, and they'll get some heavy snow tonight in the upper part of the Midwest. Places like Madison, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois can get 4 to 6 inches overnight tonight into tomorrow morning as this storm pulls out of the Rockies, heads across the plains, and then grinds to a halt in the Great Lakes region later on tomorrow as it slowly weakens. Let's take a look at the latest weather warning chart put out by NOAA just to see how wide of an area this storm will affect over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. This is all winter storm watches and winter storm warnings, stretching again from the Rockies all the way to the upper Midwest, and right about in the heartland here of the center part of the nation, they can easily get a foot or more of snow over the next 24 hours. Denver's winding down right now with some snow, maybe another inch or two today, winding up with 5, 6, 7 inches in and around the Denver metro region. Chicago will ultimately get its biggest snowfall of the year, perhaps 4, 5, 6 inches by morning. Same thing in southern Wisconsin. The brunt of the storm, however, will be right in this region right here, places like Missouri and Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, where more than a foot can snow. On the southeastern flank of this storm, in eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, there can be some severe weather with some very strong thunderstorms already starting to form and moving from west to east into this region. So again, severe weather is a threat, along with a foot or more of snow in the colder air across the Central Plains. Here's the current surface weather map, and again, Canadian high pressure, very cold Canadian high sitting in south central Canada, keeping the strong winds blowing here in the northeastern part of the country, northwest winds. Again, another windy and chilly day here in the mid-Atlantic with occasional flurries possible. All this is just setting up very well for snow here in this part of the country with very cold air all the way down into the Central Plains. Here's the storm system right now. Snow will wind down over the next few hours across Denver, and it'll just really pile up in the Central Plains over the next 12 to 24 hours. And again, it'll end up moving towards the Great Lakes region. That initial low will kind of grind to a halt right in this region, producing some significant snow in southern Wisconsin and Illinois, but then this storm will die out as it grinds to a halt, and another one will form over the weekend in the Gulf states right here and move towards the coast and ultimately become quite a coastal storm for Saturday night into early Sunday. Looks like a rainmaker along the I-95 corridor from D.C. to Philly to New York, but once again, a snowmaker for much of New England with significant snow possible up across parts of New England, especially north of the Massachusetts Turnpike. Here's the latest infrared satellite loop from the SSEC Wisconsin website. Again, the big story here is right in the middle part of the country. A raging blizzard all day today across the Central Plains. And notice this strong line of storms here showing up on the infrared satellite loop. Anywhere from Oklahoma across eastern Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, this whole region here, they have to watch out for severe weather on the warm southeastern flank of this storm. But from the Rockies across the plains and then into the Midwest, it's all heavy snow for the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Some low clouds still exist here in the Mid-Atlantic region on the backside of a storm system over southeastern Canada. Northwest winds will continue to be quite brisk today as temperatures once again in the Mid-Atlantic region stay way below normal for this time of the year. Well, let's take a walk through some GFS forecast maps at 12-hour increments beginning with this evening, and then we'll take a look at some longer range possibilities as a very interesting weather pattern will continue into the beginning part of March. Well, this is the forecast map from last night's zero-Z model run for tonight. Again, strong high pressure here plays a key role in the snowstorm out in the middle part of the country and the continued brisk cold conditions here in the Mid-Atlantic region. This high pressure is anchored in south central Canada. Meanwhile, here's the storm by this evening. Still heavy snow falling across the Central Plains. All of this here is in the form of snow. Again, on its southeastern flank, some heavy showers and thunderstorms and potential for some severe weather later today and early tonight all the way from Louisiana into Mississippi on the warm side of this storm. And this storm is pulling in this direction here towards the Great Lakes. Let's jump ahead another 12 hours. Here's the forecast map for tomorrow morning. High pressure continues to send cold air down the east coast. The storm is now pulling to the north and east and starting to slowly weaken. It'll still produce significant snow from Wisconsin across Illinois and into western Michigan tonight into the early part of tomorrow. This storm continues on this track. Let's now jump ahead another 12 hours. Here's the forecast map for tomorrow night, Friday evening. Now this time that low pressure has weakened somewhat. It kind of grinds to a halt here, still producing some light snow over the Great Lakes region, but notice a large area of moisture taking shape here over the Gulf of Mexico region. That'll set the stage for a storm to develop here and then move up along the coast over the weekend. Let's now jump ahead to Saturday morning. And here's the GFS forecast map for Saturday morning. Lots of moisture here as a gathering storm takes shape here in the southeastern part of the U.S. Notice this rain-snow line is already kind of way to the north here in terms of potential snow for D.C. and Philadelphia. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen with this system. In fact, it looks like this will become primarily a rain event from D.C. across Philly and New York City in this region right here. Let's now jump ahead another 6 hours. 12 hours to Saturday night. And here's the forecast map for Saturday evening. A coastal storm developing here. Again, the rain-snow line way north of the I-95 corridor. Looks like D.C., Baltimore, Philly, New York City will get rain. Now, from Connecticut up north to Massachusetts into Maine, this is where potential major snowstorm will occur. There's still some questions as to how far the mixture will penetrate, perhaps into central and northern Connecticut. There can be a mix that'll hold down accumulations. Probably the Massachusetts Turnpike on north will be a major snow event here into the southern part of Maine. Still certainly looks like a significant snowfall for much of New England Saturday night into Sunday, but primarily a rainmaker up and down the D.C. to New York I-95 corridor. Let's kind of look ahead a little bit here. We often talk about different indices that give us some idea of teleconnections and patterns around the world that may affect the weather here in the Mid-Atlantic region. This is the forecast from last night's Zero-Z European model run for the North Atlantic Oscillation, a negative North Atlantic Oscillation, and it is predicted to be negative by this model all the way into the early part of March. Often indicates a blocking pattern can set up in the upper part of the atmosphere in places like Hudson Bay, Canada, up to Greenland. That tends to force cold air down into the central and eastern U.S. So this is kind of a bullish sign for cold and snow in the mid-Atlantic and northeastern part of the country. And that looks like it'll be quite consistently negative here from today right through the early part of March. So this is one indication that winter is not ready to be written off yet here in the northeastern part of the country. Yet another index we tend to follow here at the SIweather.com is called the PNA, Pacific North America Pattern. And this looks like this will make kind of a dramatic change here in about a week or so. At this point right here, it flips from a negative to a positive here. And a positive PNA often leads to a high pressure ridge that sets up right along the west coast of the U.S. That tends to, due to the clockwise flow of air around the high pressure, tends to pull in cold air from central part of Canada into the central and eastern U.S. So this, combined with the negative NAO, certainly produces some possible interesting weather here, late winter weather here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Latter part of next week into the first week of March, it looks like this couplet of a negative NAO and a positive PNA could very well produce some interesting weather here in the northeastern part of the country. Let's take one more look ahead. And here's the height anomaly forecast map for the last night's European model run for the 7 to 10 day period. So it's an average over that 7 to 10 day period for height anomalies. And looking at those indices just a moment ago, the NAO and the PNA, and we certainly see kind of a reflection of the overall 500 millibar pattern given that negative NAO forecast and the positive PNA. Specifically, a strong high pressure ridge right along the west coast, a blocking pattern here over the Hudson Bay region with strong high pressure here indicated by the yellows and oranges here from Greenland down to Hudson Bay. That kind of forces cold air into the eastern part of the country, and not only does it force cold air into the country, but it kind of forces cold air to stay in the country. In other words, some sustained cold air, quite a low pressure trough in the upper part of the atmosphere setting up here, again, 7 to 10 days out. So there certainly are some possibilities of some interesting weather going right into the early part of March. Too early to write off winter quite yet. So that's it for now. Stay tuned to the SIweather.com for updates. I'm the SI meteorologist.